Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's CoachFury here today, and we are back with the start of our new Let's Play series. So for those of you who've been watching the channel through the last series, we finished with the Philadelphia 76ers in the modern era, and well, the outcome was originally to win a championship. We didn't achieve that, and you know, it meant that we kind of decided that now would be a good time to move on with the next series really, and not go back and revisit the 76ers. And I basically put it out to you guys at the end of that series, you know, what do you want me to have a go at next really? Is there anything in particular, any teams or any eras that you want me to go back in and have a look at? And you know, thank you very much to everyone who dropped a comment and you know, a like and provided some feedback really. And well, we're just going to take that feedback and run with it really. In particular, Gunawin 1998 who reached out in terms of what he or she would like to see next, and it was, well, CoachFury, try and take a team that needs a bit of a rebuild with a young roster and see where it takes you, and a little bit of a longer let's play over a few seasons or so, and see what happens. And well, that's what we're going to do today, guys. Is we're going to dive into the world of Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21 again. But this time we are not going to be a team that's a championship contender, which we've done for the past few Let's Play series. We are actually today going to be a modern era Chicago Bulls roster. So for those of you who follow the NBA, obviously at this moment in time, the Chicago Bulls are very much in a bit of a rebuild. They've got some really good, exciting young players. Pretty much waiting to see if any of those materialise into stars or really good starters for the team. And then they're hoping, I would imagine, that rebuild is a quick turnaround into being a playoff team again. And well, that's the challenge that we've set ourselves today really, is we are going to take the Chicago Bulls roster and see what we can do with it really. In order to do this, some of the things that I've set up as part of this Let's Play series is that we aren't in sandbox mode. We are in the normal, I think it's the normal GM mode. So it means that I could possibly be fired at the end of every season if I don't achieve the owner's expectations. So let's take a little look at our office and see what those are. So in terms of where we are at the minute, you know, player budget is okay. Staff budget is actually pretty good for the Bulls, I have to say. You can probably see that I've set the skills up as quite low. I think I've set us up as maybe a veteran player, which means that we're not starting with our ratings being all 100 so we can see everything. So there is a little bit of fog of war for us. But in terms of our actual demands of us from the owner, we have to work towards the playoffs, so success will be expected over a period of time, I imagine, probably a few seasons or so. And also, we have to try and get a 4-star player in terms of the roster demands. So we'll see if we can achieve both of those over the course of this season, really. But this is going to be a really exciting one because we don't necessarily have a star as such yet, and we'll talk about the roster in a minute, but we do have some really, really good, exciting young players that we'll have to try and work and develop, and we'll probably delve a little bit more into that side of things for this Let's Play, rather than actually thinking about the strategy and playoffs and running through that. So we will have to be quite active with trades, we'll have to develop players, we'll have to obviously go through drafts and free agency, which we haven't done for a little while in Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball here on the channel. So yeah, let's take a little look at the staff and the roster then. So in terms of the staff, you can see obviously we've got Billy Donovan as our head coach. Actually pretty good in terms of his ratings. And we've got him for, I believe, 4 years remaining on his contract. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to go out and bust a gut to find a good head coach, because we are in global mode here. So I can set the depth chart, I can set the strategy. So we're not just reliant on the coach. And you can see here he's got Maurice Chicks as his first assistant, Josh Longstaff and Chris Fleming, who all look actually pretty good, to be honest with you. Key thing is that they're all pretty okay at development, as you can see, and we're not too bad at development as well for some reason. So that's good to see. And we do have some remaining budget left, so we are at the maximum of our training staff budget, which is good. So hopefully that'll avoid injuries, help players recover faster, as it says there. So we are maxing that out because we know we don't want our young players to get any, you know, terrible injuries that could derail their career if we can help it. So yeah, I'm happy with the staff and the coaching staff. Let's take a little look at this roster then. So you can see it's a bit of a, if we look just look at the general overall ratings. I mean, we don't have anyone who's a real star at the moment. I mean, probably the only guy that we can say is like a a good player at this moment in time for the NBA is Zach LaVine, who looks like he's a phenomenal scorer. So I'm quite excited to see how he does, because he is going to be our go-to guy for this season, and we are going to be relying on him to score points and probably get wins for us. But yeah, he looks really exciting. He's a good outside shooter. He's good at scoring. He's a good stealer of the ball and pretty good defender as well, which I was surprised about. I'm a little bit worried that he's drawing fouls and not as high as I would have thought they would be. But I'm excited to see how he does. Obviously, we've got him for 2 years before we need to worry about extensions and things. We'll see how he does. I honestly have no idea in terms of this version of Draft Day Sports whether he is a good volume scorer or whether he's terrible. That will really determine as to whether we trade him or not. And you can see he's not extension eligible either, so we're going to have to ride out those 2 years and decide whether we want to cash him in or not. I mean, if we start probably at the point guard position, I mean, this is probably the bit of the team that worries me the most, is we don't really have a good starting point guard at this moment in time, and it's something we will either have to try and develop Kobe White, or we have to try and get someone in via draft, free agency, or trade. But I mean, basically the ball is going to be in the hands of Kobe White at the minute, just because you can see his potential up here. His potential to be a 3.5-star player, which is excellent. We are obviously going to try and develop him as much as we possibly can. I mean, the thing that worries about me is that he's not particularly great at anything. I mean, he's an okay shooter from the outside from his rating. His passing and ball handling is really low for a point guard, though. I would have liked that to be at least passing in the 60s, ball handling in the 70s to be a passable point guard for any type of team that I run. His defense is okay. We can kind of live with that. His court IQ is quite low as well, so I'd hope that would develop as he gets older and gets more used to playing in this league. So we're going to sort of try and develop him, see how he goes. But it might be that we look to bring a point guard in fairly sharpish if we want to get into the playoff hunt in a few seasons' time. In terms of other point guards, we've got Thomas Satoransky, who, I mean, we're paying him $10 million. He's pretty much just a guy who does a bit of everything, if I'm honest. 10 million is quite a lot to pay him. We'll probably look to see if we can trade him, dump that contract if we can. And then we've got Ryan Arcianono. I can't say his name correctly. Looks like a pretty good off the bench shooter. He's not a point guard though, to be perfectly honest with you. He is. I mean, I know he's 6'3", but he looks to me like he's just a shooting guard, off the ball shooter. So we'll see how he plays out as well. If we move on to the other shooting guard, we've got Garrett Temple, who he looks okay. Again, similar, I guess he's sort of an off the rotation shooter really. In terms of small forward position, I mean, this is probably our weakest area. We've got Patrick Williams, who we're probably going to start to begin with. Again, because he has this amazing potential that we want to try and give him minutes to develop really. There's nothing really that stands out. He looks like he could be a really good wing defender. His defensive ability is already quite high. His court IQ is good. That's probably where his strength is going to be. He doesn't look like he's the best shooter, so we'll see how he plays out. And then we've got some interesting guys who are sort of knocked around in sort of this Bulls team. You've got Otto Porter, who, to be honest with you, is not very good. I mean, we're paying him $28 million. Everyone knows about Otto Porter in real life. He's sort of been this question mark ever since he was drafted as to what he would actually become. I think that's just a nice little trade chip for us to see if we can make a move to maybe get a star or something. That is a nice bit of salary that we could throw in to maybe make something like that happen. But yeah, I don't expect Otto Porter to do anything substantial for us. Same with Denzel Valentine, another guy who's in one year deal. Looks like a good shooter, but not much else. And then we move on to the front court position, which is probably the most exciting position that we've got to see how this develops, because we've got some interesting prospects here. So everyone knows about Lauri Markkanen. Looks like a really nice stretch four, which is exciting because I've not had a stretch four in this game for a little while. Not a proper one like I would say Lauri Markkanen could possibly be. He's still got some potential. He's never going to be the greatest defender, but I'm interested to see how, in terms of his scoring ability, how that works. See, he likes to play above the break in terms of where he shoots from. That's going to be fun to see because it's nice to have a little swing four in the modern era of the NBA in this game in particular. And then we've got Thaddeus Young, who, to be perfectly honest with you, is definitely tradable on that $14 million contract. Again, similar to Markkinen, he's a bit of a stretch for at this point in his career, but we're paying him an awful lot of money. And then we've got probably one of the most interesting prospects in the front court as well, in Wendell Carter Jr., who looks like he could potentially, again, has some crazy good potential. Looks like he's already a really, really good starter in this league, if I'm looking at these ratings. A good rebounder, he draws fouls really well, he's a good defender. Shot blocking is a little bit low, same with his disciplined court IQ, but looks like he's going to be a real good, like, sort of pick and roll center, is what I would say. I think he's going to be good at. And obviously he lives in the post, which is fine. That's perfectly good for us. And then we've got Gafford and Cornette, who, to be honest with you, are definitely just rotation pieces at this moment in time. So that's kind of how our team shapes up. I mean, in terms of the depth chart, I've gone ahead and set this already, but you can probably see basically the aim for this season really is to develop the likes of White, Williams, Markkinen and Carter Jr. We are going to give them as many minutes as we possibly can. I hope they don't get injuries and hope they develop really. And just accept the fact that this season is probably going to be a losing season. But, you know, we'll develop. Hopefully we'll maybe end up with a top draft pick as well to add to this, or we'll make a move for agency or a trade and see how this pans out. So in terms of the strategy itself, at the moment we've got balanced. I just want to see for a few games how this plays out, just because I want to see really what the player ranges and the player shooting numbers look like before we actually dive into an actual strategy as such. We're obviously not going to use the coach strategies. That's a given. We're never going to do that. So we're going to run balance for a few games, and we're going to probably just run passive for now. The reason being is that we'll stop drives and entry passes, but encourage more outside shots. Just again, I just want to see how that plays out. We don't really have any good wing defenders as such, and we don't really have any good centre positions. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'm going straight to man actually to begin with. No adjustments, just straight man to man. Just see how that plays out. We don't just as I was describing it. I don't think we have any real strengths at the minute, so we just have to trade quite carefully and go quite balanced with our approach. See what's working, see what's not, and then readjust our strategy to that. So that's how we're going to look, I think, actually, to begin with. In terms of the trade stuff, I mean, I'm going to just immediately whack people on the trade block that we don't need. So anyone who is not one of the guys we're developing, basically you are definitely tradable. And we'll see how the likes of Williams, White, Markkinen and Carter Jr. get on, if they develop or not, but we'll just chuck people on the trade block straight away. So let's take a little look at the draft that's coming up as well, because I think that's going to be important for this Let's Play if we keep an eye on this. You can probably see that I've already gone ahead and set the scouting points because, well, looking at the draft, we don't have any international prospects. I will just double check the league options actually. We do have international players, good. Okay, yeah, so there are no international players that are looking like they're projecting to be in sort of the top part of the draft, and it is an all-American draft at this moment in time. So we are going to just scout the whole of America pretty much. We've got some nice DBL select players who have come through, so we'll probably have a little dive into the DBL at some point through this Let's Play and just see how these guys are doing, because you know they're obviously not going to have a rank as such, but we want to keep an eye on them because they'll be interesting prospects, and we'll get some more like stats on them than we would some of these draftees. It looks like this Andy Blackman is the number one prospect at the moment, a centre, which is interesting. There's quite a lot of front court players actually in that top 10, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's how the draft looks really at the moment. A mixture of guys, but that'll obviously tweak and change as we go through the season. In terms of the league made, yeah, let's just have a little look in terms of the season preview and see where they project us. So yeah, we are projected to be the second worst team this year. Again, not really surprising given that we are starting an awful lot of young players. Pretty much any success we have this year is going to be around Zach LaVine. If Zach LaVine turns up and scores 35 a game, we might end up being a .500 team if the other guys around him develop. But it's going to be an exciting prospect to see how they get on. But yeah, we are definitely projected down the bottom. Nets, no surprise, they're projected up the top. They obviously don't have Harden. I think I've said this before, but the actual patch of this game doesn't have the Harden trade in, so we haven't gone ahead and done that. We've just left it as is. And obviously in the Western Conference, you've got the Lakers as the number one ranked team there as well. So that's how we look. In terms of inbox messages, we just have stuff about assigning points and stuff, which I've already done. Yeah, we know the season's starting today. And yeah, we'll take a little look at free agents. Is there anyone that we necessarily want to pick up that could help us straight away? No, I don't think there is anyone actually that we want to pick up. So I think what we'll do is we will just end this episode here. Slightly shorter one, a bit of an intro one for this week. Interested to get your thoughts in terms of what you think of the roster. Is there anything in terms of moves that we might want to make? We'll have a little look at the contract situation whilst we're doing this. You can see obviously we have a lot of salary space coming up next season, so that's going to be exciting to see if we can use that in free agency. But yeah, if interested in your thoughts in terms of anything we should do. I think what I will do immediately is I will pick up the rookie options of the likes of White and Williams. That's pretty much a no-brainer. That's some easy, cheap starter salary that we can use. But yeah, interested to see what you guys think. If there's any moves that we should try and look for, any strategy things that you've got an idea of. But yeah, we'll come back next time. We'll probably play the first game of the season and see how the first few games play out and adjust our strategy from there. But if you enjoyed the episode and you're interested in following the Let's Play for the Chicago Bulls rebuild as we go along, hit that like and subscribe button, and you can follow it every single week as it comes out with a new episode. And we'll see if we can turn the Bulls back into a playoff team and then hopefully into a contender over time. Or will CoachFury get fired before we get to that stage? I honestly don't know. It's going to be a fun one to see. A lot of it is going to hinge on these young players developing, I think, though.